Why do you all think that so much of the Bible is in parables?
Hey, brother, I'm gonna try to make this just a one video because the other one about the image or the what Jesus really looks like took 3 videos. So, your question is why is there so many parables? Then you talked about how Jesus and other characters in the Bible used parables and allegories. Well, allegories and parables to some are interchangeable. It's the same thing, but they're not. Um, First and foremost, allegories is a story with a spiritual meaning or a meaning behind it. Um, and then you have a parable, which is direct only from Jesus, and that is it has one main theme, but it covers a lot of other themes as well. Um, Either something for a region, for an age, for a church, or even, heck, even you and I individually in our life. Something that we can get out of it. Now, you asked why is it left up to that and people have to guess at it. If you read anything from Jesus, especially in the 4 Gospels, when he gives a parable, he always says the same thing. Let those who have ears, let them hear, and let those who have eyes, let them see. He's talking about your spiritual ears and your spiritual eyes. I want to recall you back to the story of the parable that Jesus gave of the good seed that I talked to you about when we talked about Calvinism and Arminianism or free will. Not only does he tell the parable, but then he goes and explains the parable. Jesus always explained. Now, for those that didn't, it's pretty plain simple. When he says the kingdom of God is like, he's talking about himself and what salvation is like and what God has done with bringing Jesus to die on the cross for you and I. Some of those may not have an explanation afterwards because when you apply the kingdom of God is like this, we already know to assume this story is explaining either the kingdom of God, Jesus Christ himself, or the mission that God had sent Jesus to accomplish, which is for our salvation, for us to know, and we can apply that accordingly. Now, for anything else, he would always usually go around and tell you what it meant. Now, most of the Bible doesn't have parables and allegories unless you do consider the book of Genesis and the book of Job to be poetic. I'm more of a literal. Jesus taught, and so did Paul, taught that the entire book of Genesis, even the creation story, was actual history, not a poem or poetic, but an actual events that happened. So the only parables we find are in the 4 Gospels in the New Testament given by Jesus himself. And then, of course, every once in a while, you might see an old prophet of the Old Testament giving a parable to make a point to somebody.